what can universities do to prepare people for what's coming as far as technological change in the translation space? In my opinion, the first thing is to get a lot more focused on the building blocks of language and meaning as opposed to the technique of translation. That's the first thing, in my opinion, that's super important. Why? Because if you're if you're a good writer, if you know how to manipulate language well to deliver the kind of impact that you're looking for, that gives you an edge. That gives you something to do for sure, right? It's in my opinion, even with the rapid advance of artificial intelligence, I still believe that humans will be the owners of culture. They're still the ones, the bearers of identity, the bearers of connection. Language, in my opinion, is something very intimate. Even technical language is still very intimate. And I still believe humans will have a very important role as far as how to relate to language. But in order to fulfill that role, you need to be able to work with language really well. And I think the skill of writing, the skill of reading, of of completely critically dissecting a piece, being able to express your thoughts very clearly around it, defend your points of view, being able to learn those more basic skills, in my opinion, they become so much more important in this new paradigm, right? Whether or not you're actually a good translator between language A and language B, whether or not you know a given technique, or whether or not you know certain tools, in my opinion, that's all irrelevant. What really matters is, do you relate to language at a very deep level? Do you understand people? Do you understand what people want to do? And are you capable of continuously learning? And I think this mindset of being able to continuously learn becomes ever more valuable in a world where things are going to be changing more and more quickly, and you need to be able to adapt, right? And if you learn just a specific technique, it's actually very hard to adapt, because imagine this, right? You spend 4 years learning a specific technique. By the time you graduate, maybe that technique is going to be completely obsolete, irrelevant. So in my opinion, it's not very interesting to spend time focusing on technique. It is very interesting to spend time focusing on the components of language. It's the philosophy around language, the writing techniques, writing styles, understanding, all kinds of different content types and flavors. I think that is a very good way for universities to prepare their students for what's about to come. But I think that also requires a deep rewiring of also how people hire. I think that's not that simple. I think it requires a deep rewiring of what students expect to get out of universities, because it's can be incredibly frustrating if you enroll in a given course and all they teach you, instead of actually learning how to translate, for instance, all they teach you is learning how to think about language. Could be very frustrating. So it's complicated in the sense that it's not just a matter of like, hey, universities flip a switch and start teaching people differently, because there are expectations both that the people coming in have, and there are also expectations that the people that are going to be receiving these people into the workforce also have. And then there are also limits and constraints around what the faculty has been used to teaching all these years. So it's a really hard cookie to crack. But in my opinion, anything that goes more in the direction of thought, analysis, critical ability, and creative ability is going to be more useful than anything that goes more towards the direction of technique. But again, just my 2 cents.